She was 7. Okay, so I was asking on Facebook some of my friends and followers to give me some topic ideas, and I kept saying like dating, relationship, and stuff like that. A lot of people want me to talk about other things, more spiritual things, and I will in another video, but I think today I can combine the two and talk about relationship and spiritual aspect of everything. And what I'm saying is everything we do has its base in spirituality. Even the person that we choose to date, even the person that we marry and make children with, or make children with and not marry, there's a spiritual essence behind our choices of our mates, and it will tell you a lot about yourself depending on the kind of man or woman that you choose. Now, I made some notes, so I'm going to be reading, and I'm putting on my glasses. How y'all doing? Okay. So I finally figured out what I'm going to use this book for, which is going to be my notes. Okay. So that way y'all don't have to look at a raggedy book. Y'all can look at this. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is for both of y'all, so you don't have to click off if you're a man. I'm going to come at you about choosing a mate and what it says about you. In nature, when animals choose mates, they go for the strongest, the one that survives, and the one that is fruitful and can create abundance. This is nature. Human nature and animal nature are two different things. Okay, I'm just going to show you an example about when this occurs. And I'm also going to use some words that you might be familiar with, because a lot of people grew up reading in the Bible. And in the Bible it says, be fruitful and multiply. And a lot of people thought that meant, oh, go have some children. That's not what it meant, okay? It meant do something that will multiply you. Do something that will produce. Plant seeds that are going to bear fruit or harvest. Okay, that means do something that's going to create abundance. It can also mean go have kids, but that is also an aspect of being fruitful and multiplying. So do not multiply that which is weak, because what are you going to get? More weak things, right? You're going to get things that aren't good. If you multiply things that are good, you're going to reap a good harvest and a good fruit, right? So an example for that is, in the animal kingdom are male lions. When it's mating season, like male lions will fight other male lions for the right to mate with the lioness, because the lioness is only going to mate with, the dominant male of the pack, or the pride. The pride. And they don't want the weak male. And so that weak male, he wants to mate. So he's like, okay, I got to prove myself. I have to beat up the old lion. And, so I can mate. And, multiply my seed, because I want to reproduce too. And, the old lion has been around. He's been reproducing. His seed has, made other lions, strong lions. He's multiplied, with the lionesses. And he's produced a good pride. Now that he's getting old, the younger lions are like, hey, we can take him out now because he's weak. He's not producing or multiplying as much. So let's fight him for the right to be the dominant, lion. So they fight, and, the winner gets, the female lion. And this is nature's way of separating the weak from the strong, from reproducing, okay? This is nature's way. Nature doesn't want to multiply weakness. It doesn't, because it doesn't thrive, and it doesn't create, and it doesn't reproduce anything that's good, okay? So ladies, don't let weak lions multiply their seed with you. One, it's unnatural. It's against nature. It's against nature. And two, if that male that you're reproducing with has not produced anything for himself and abundantly, or has shown you that his fruits are good fruits, if he has nothing to show for himself, why are you going to multiply his weaknesses? Why are you going to bring a seed into the world that is from a weak seed that might not bear fruit? That, you know. And men, also, if a woman does not expect you to be fruitful, meaning abundant, if she doesn't expect you to be abundant and she doesn't expect anything from you, then she's not going to expect anything from your seeds or your children, which means she's not going to put much effort into them because she doesn't expect anything out of them. Therefore, she's not going to be a good mother for your children. She's not going to expect anything more from them because she sees the tree that the fruit was, the seeds came from. So if the tree doesn't bear good fruit, the mom is already expecting the child to bear bad fruit, and she's accepted that, and she's not going to, expect anything more. So that's your legacy now. Men, if you reproduce with a woman who don't expect anything from you, expect your children to grow up not having a mother who expects anything out of them. They're just going to run rampant, and your weaknesses and her weaknesses are going to be multiplied through that child. Okay? So think about this before you lay down with someone. Okay? And a woman that doesn't expect anything out of a man, she's not going to nurture that man. She's not going to nurture that child that she had with that man. She's just going to let it grow wild because it's not a good seed. It's a weed. You get it? It's not going to bear the fruit. It's not going to give abundance. It's not going to be strong. It's not going to reproduce. It's not going to multiply anything good. So when humans decide to reproduce or marry or link up or whatever you're going to do, if neither male or female expect any fruit or abundance out of each other, then what are we multiplying? What are we creating? It's something. Is it something fruitful and strong, or is it something weak? Are we multiplying our weaknesses? Are we magnifying our weaknesses through our children because we chose to bear fruit and give seeds to, things that are weak? Okay, so let me ask you a question. And it's not always like if a mother or a father makes a mistake and mates with someone and who had false hopes and false promises of ripe fruit or good fruit, that's not always going to be the end of it. If you multiply with a weak lion, you're not going to be a queen. Okay, you're not going to be considered a queen because a queen only mates with the dominant head king lion of the pride. Okay. So you're not going to be considered a queen anymore if you're mating with a weak lion. Okay? I'm just telling y'all, this is how nature is. This is nature. Okay? Your offspring will be seen as weak by the pride. And they're not going to have that same fruit or that seed or that DNA from that strong, dominant lion. They're going to have the seed and the DNA from the other lions who couldn't cut it, who couldn't fight, who couldn't fight for you and the right to reproduce, with the queen lion. So he has to go find another type of lion who will accept his weaknesses. And not many of those lionesses will mate with those, weaker lions. They're all going to go to the man lion that's the most dominant, and that male lion will have multiple women. Now, this might seem crazy, but if you look at real life, you'll see women who are attracted to men who are already taken. You'll see more women attracted to married men with things that are going on for them that are abundant. And then you'll see a bunch of single males who really don't have anything to offer, and they're upset and mad that these women are not flocking to them. Well, the reason they're not flocking to them is because they don't see anything fruitful. They don't see any fruit on your tree. They don't want what good is a tree if it doesn't bear fruit? It's not abundant. So, they don't need seeds from that tree because it's not going to grow anything good, So that's why a lot of women, you might call them materialistic and da-da-da-da, but it's nature. It's nature. It's nature for women to gravitate towards a fruitful, abundant tree. Do you understand? I mean, this could go all the way back to, Adam and Eve in the Bible, and, taken from the tree of knowledge and this and that. A woman wants to reproduce and multiply something good, not something bad. So it all boils down to nature. And since we've, evolved into more, thinking humans, and we can try to manipulate and change women's minds and lie and expect them to believe you. And sometimes it works, and then you create children with a woman, and you have nothing on your tree. Therefore, you're not giving anything to your woman. Your seed is not going to have what it should have, and so you're not creating abundance. You're not being fruitful and multiplying anything good. You're bringing more chaos and havoc into the world because you yourself cannot bear fruit, which means abundance. Okay, and I even think there's a song, I always quote Michael Jackson. Want to be starting something? It says, if you can't feed your baby, then don't have a baby. You'll be always crying, trying to stop that child from crying, hustling, stealing, lying. Now baby's slowly dying. You got to be starting something, which means you have to be productive. You have to be starting something. You have to be growing a seed. You have to be manifesting. You have to be working towards a goal. You have to be starting something. If you're not starting something, if you're stagnant, that's death. Those seeds are not going to bear fruit. They're bad seeds. And, a lot of people, say, oh, well, then you're going to end up alone in life, and you're just going to be single, and because you don't want this good man. Even because he's not abundant, he's not rich, but he's a good man, he'll be nice to you. That's fine. People can be nice to other people, but are they going to bring anything into their lives? Are they going to improve their lives? Are they going to bear fruit? Are they going to be fruitful? No one wants a tree that doesn't bear fruit. No one. So basically, if you have already had a child from a tree that's not fruitful, that's not that child's fate, Because you chose a mate that wasn't fruitful, now you have to become more fruitful. You have to work twice as hard. You have to instill in that seed. You have to nurture that seed extra. You have to fertilize that seed. You have to water that seed more. You have to care for that seed. You have to make sure that there's elements in that soil that's going to make that seed grow. You have to make sure that seed has plenty of sunlight. You have to make sure that seed is protected from the freezing, weather. You have to put in extra work now, because now you have, planted a seed from a bad seed, and you have to work extra hard now to get that seed to reproduce and grow. So that's not the end of it, There are some bad seeds that, if nurtured properly and given the right circumstances and, nurtured and cared for and pushed and fertilized, that can grow into a good tree. So if you've already mated with one of those unfruitful trees, it's okay. You're just going to have to put in the work that they can't. So, and a lot of times, I believe in reincarnation. So a lot of times when babies come through to be born into certain parents, they get to choose. And let's say a soul or a spirit has an agenda that they want to, or a goal in life that they want to, accomplish, they get to choose the parents who are going to help them on that path the best. Okay, so if you have a person that wants to send a message to the world that, out of nothing can become something great, they're going to choose a set of parents who have, had a child, and one of the parents weren't a fruitful tree and the other one was. They're going to choose that, and they're going to make sure that the dominant parent that does bear fruit instills in them what they need. They're going to make sure they pick someone who has that time to nurture, to fertilize, and to make that seed grow. And then there's some souls that are just going to come here to experience life and to experience poverty and to experience suffering, because that's what they need in order to grow spiritually. And they're going to choose those parents who, didn't expect much out of life, who reproduced and multiplied bad seeds. And they're going to bear children who aren't expected to do much out of life. They're going to bear children who are bad seeds. And those children are going to suffer. Those children might be, not given the best things in life. And so that they, they suffer for it. They're going to be, living lives of poverty. And that is what they incarnated in on purpose, in my opinion. And they have to choose those parents. So certain seeds come out of certain parents, and certain seeds come out of fruitful parents. So if you yourself want a child to choose you and your mate, then you need to be able to choose your mate properly. If you want an easy life for your child, an easy life for you, and an easy life for your mate, you need to choose wisely, like the lions. Okay? No lion wants to reproduce with the weak lion of the pack, So, so the moral of this video is basically stop multiplying with unfruitful people if you want to bear good fruit, good children. If you want an easier life, if you want to be a queen with a king, you can't reproduce with the weaker species or the weaker version of a king. Okay? Men, same thing. You can't expect to reproduce with a queen of high quality if you can't be a king. That means you can't bear fruit if you have nothing to show. If you have no status, like the headline, if you have no status, if you can't compete, then you shouldn't even be trying to reproduce. You should be trying to fight for that status first before you reproduce, just like they do in the animal kingdom. Before mating season, I said in the beginning of this video, those male lions are going to compete for position. Okay, and that's a metaphor for before you can get a woman and reproduce, you should be competing for status, for position, for abundance, for fruit. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't even be wanting to reproduce, basically, because all you're going to produce is bad, weak seeds, and you're going to fill the world up with more bad, weak seeds, and we're going to have a bunch of bad, weak people in the world who don't expect much out of themselves or their mates because they're looking at the example of their parents. Now, I'm not saying, a lot of people are guilty of this and they don't even realize it because they've been dumbed down with religion. Okay? So, multiply your strengths, not your weaknesses. Don't multiply your weaknesses because you feel sorry for a man who don't have anything. Don't multiply that weakness. That's a weakness. Feeling sorry for someone that doesn't have anything, that should have something, is a weakness. It's a weakness, okay? Like I said, it's just like hiring for a company. Are you going to feel sorry for somebody because they've lost every job that they've had and that they don't have transportation to work? They don't have a cell phone to be reached. Are you going to hire that kind of person and depend on them to make your company money when they can't even sustain themselves as a person, when they've lost every job they've had? No, you're not going to hire that kind of person. So make sure before you lay down with the man that you see his fruit. And I'm not talking about his naked body. I'm talking about the things that he has harvested. Make sure you see that. Make sure you see that he's fighting for status and that he won. Don't look at the ones, who are too scared to go fight the big lion. Don't look at the ones who talk about fighting the big lion. Don't look at the ones who said they fought the big lion, but they lost, but they almost won. No. You go for the big lion, or you wait until one of them little lions can beat the big lion. And you make them prove themselves to you. And men, don't try to get a female and reproduce and multiply with one until you are fruitful yourself. Okay? Because what you are weak at, so is your seed. And if you're not strong in life, and if you don't have anything, and if you can't multiply good fruit, you're going to reproduce and multiply your weaknesses in that child, in that family. And you're just going to, instead of going up, you're not going to be going up. You're going to be waiting for fruit that's not going to be right, that's not going to harvest, and no one's going to care about that fruit or that orchard or those children because they didn't expect much out of you in the first place. Okay? So ladies, men, remember that. And that's my video for today. I hope it was helpful. And remember, it's nature.